Good morning. This is Vivek from Genpact, and I'm here to talk about how to enable the on-demand close journey and how much success we have seen. Now, we are talking about continuous accounting, continuous close. I think there is no better place than to talk in Las Vegas because this strip never closes. All the casino tables and slot machines are working 24/7. I think there's a lot we can learn about doing the continuous accounting and closing and ensuring the controllership as well. So we will talk about what we are seeing in the future, how much of it is real, and to bridge the gap between what is already done versus what can be done, we have our partner, Vic from Mondelez, and we are working together for the last few years in their transformation journey. Welcome, Vic.
Good morning, everybody. Yeah. All righty. So, Victoria Hernandez, MBS AER, Accounting and External Reporting. We kind of broke up the R to R. We have separate for that. And so you guys got to see Nike and hear Hershey yesterday, so you know what you can eat, you know what you can wear, but you don't know what you can do with Mondelez? Well, we're going to run a video and show you guys.
Sun, kick off your shoes and have some fun. And get ready, get set, let's go. If we never go, we'll never know. 'Cause you and I, oh yeah, we could fly so high, so high. Moment pass us by, pass us by. I won't let this moment pass us by. I won't let this moment pass us by. So grab somebody, do-si-do, 'cause life's a dance floor, don't you know? Hey, there's electricity in the air, so come join the party if you dare. 'Cause you and I, oh yeah, we could fly so high, so high. Moment pass us by, pass us by. You and I, oh yeah, we could fly so high, so high. You and I won't let this moment pass us by, pass us by. Won't let this moment pass us by. Won't let this moment pass us by. Won't let this moment pass us by.
And that is Mondelez, and I love those products. I probably have tried at least 75% or more, which is how I look like this. So, I'd like to set expectations about our talk today. We've had some really great sessions over the last day and this morning, and as I thought about them, they're really cool late-night talk shows. You know, bring folks on, ask questions, back and forth discussion. Vivek and I are more of Sports Channel. So you're going to have Vivek giving you the blow-by-blow, everything going about where we're going with the future and all the things to consider. And I'm your color commentator. Actually, Vivek does has the vision, a lot of things that we're going to be looking at in the future, and I'm going to be bringing more of the perspective of what can you do here and now. So, get started. Show of hands. How many people are on a Gregorian calendar? That's a month end close, a physical month end. I'm not going to count. Feel free. Well, as a public company, the thing you learn early on is that you don't plan anything personally on January, in April, in July, or in October. Nothing. Now, that was unfortunately something I didn't know when I fell in love with my husband and got married. His birthday is July 6th. Our wedding anniversary is October 8th. So needless to say, we've never celebrated on the actual date. Usually it's, hey, honey, catch you next month. I did plan a little bit better with my daughters. I have a June birthday and a December birthday. I'm not that good of a planner. I was just a lucky person. The reality is, as finance professionals, we are tied to the calendar, and so are our families. So what are we doing about it, and what can we do about it? First off, I'm gonna, whoop, whoop. There we go. We only have one clicker. He's in charge. Okay. So what we've done so far is we've tried to shorten the calendar and reduce it. So in Mondelez, over the last several years, when we focused on the close, when I started, we had 4 different calendars. We had a 544, a 455, no, 445, a lag, and a Gregorian. We had some folks that took them 2 weeks to get everything together. So we got that down to the Gregorian. And I'd like to say it was wonderful, and the birds sang, and the heavens opened, but it was painful. And yes, we had people working late nights to get there, and yes, we missed some deadlines, but we kept focused. We also took a day out of the close, and it was really when we did submissions. And again, it was painful, and there was missed deadlines, and there were people working late, but we kept focused. And we did this all while we split a company, as well as spun off a unit, started a joint venture, and had some other M&A. The key thing was what we kept focused. During that time also, we moved to Genpact. We took a lot of our operations there. And it was really eye-opening when we started various COEs. So for intercompany, for fixed assets, we were thinking, oh, great, we're all in one spot. This is going to be great. And then we really started looking at the processes and realized, not as harmonized as we'd hoped. So we had transformation projects that we put in place. 2 of the big ones for us, and I'm not being paid to say, was Blackline. So we put in the Blackline reconciliation process. It was the first time globally we could see exactly where we stood in all of our reconciliations. And it was good. So for a public company in quarter end, we're like, okay, where are we? Oh, yeah, we're looking good. Oop, nope. Somebody over here needs to kind of pick it up. And it's also helped us as we've done our annual risk analysis, because now we're talking off the same page. We can say, all right, this is how we want to look at the accounts. This is how we want to have exceptions. Again, all in the same song sheet. Same thing, we also worked with Genpact, and we put in the Blackline Task Manager. And we talked a lot about that, because we knew we were not harmonized. And we're like, do we put all that there, all the differences? And we finally came to the conclusion, why have all these Excel spreadsheets? Why not have it in one place? Let's just own up to all the warts. And so that's what we did. And it's really helped us start planning where we want to start tackling the other areas. But we still have a lot of work to do. So some of the key challenges, which I'm sure many of you face, are really 2 big ones, are really the significant workload that we have during the close, as well as some of the manual workarounds. So we focused over the last year on the activities in the close period, specifically manual journal entries. We moved, when we focused, we put in thresholds in which to say, hey, you know what? If it's not here, not material, don't do it. Pick it up the next month or try and do it earlier. We were able to move from 3,000 journals during our close calendar to 500 journals. And it's from like a C-3 to a C+4. We also used robotics in helping post journals, as well as data extraction for balance sheet reconciliations. We've also used robotics where we can do transfers between our planning and actual systems, and vice versa. And in a lot of our projects, we've tried to make sure that we're really using our SAP functionality to the best of our ability. So that's kind of been what we've been doing. Vivek, can you talk about some of the other companies?
Yeah. So as Vic said, right, Mondelez, like many of you, has good work done around close cycle reduction or close optimization. Now, we thought, okay, whether we should check across all the companies, the same improvement has happened in the last 5 years. So if you see, irrespective of the kind of their processes, all of them have done anything between 25 to 40% improvement in close cycle, and that is visible. But then we thought whether this reduction in close cycle is leading to faster release to the market, which means your 8K, 10K filings, are they, or 10Q filings, are they improving on a quarter-on-quarter basis or not? Now, intuitively, you will say, yeah, I mean, all the trend should be clear across all companies going down. But this is the data of Fortune 500 companies, all US listed, and it is truly not giving clear trend, right? And then we thought, okay, what could be the reason why this trend is not really visible? And that could be one reason, right, that every year there is some announcement coming from SEC, which is leading to your additional regulatory and compliance or disclosure changes which you need to take care of and do the submission. The second dimension could be that, okay, GL or consolidation or closing is one aspect, but when you have to release the numbers to the street, you need to have clear understanding of what has led to those numbers. What is the reason for variance from previous quarter or your budget or forecast? And that takes time. Now, if you look at any of the earnings call, nearly 50 to 70% of the discussion is based on linking external data with what has happened in that company. And that is the reason, that could be another reason why it is taking time to get all the facts clear, have the right explanations of variances, and then do your 8K or 10Q submissions. Now, if you see on top, we have listed few companies which have really made a big impact in the last 4 or 5 years in terms of making the numbers faster to the street. But let's drill down on the data aspect again. Now, if you see, I mean, all of us are seeing the influx of data which is coming our life. The reason could be IoT, reason could be edge analytics, reason could be mobility application, reason could be the kind of data access we have got which was not available earlier. And because of that, there is so much of external and unstructured data which is available, which finance team, as a finance team, we all need to understand and use it in our insights, which we are trying to explain as part of the earnings release. Now, yesterday when Malcolm Gladwell was here, he talked about the two aspects, right? The mysteries and puzzle. So you can say earlier we had very limited access to internal data, so it was easy to solve the puzzle. But now we have so much of external data and really get insight from that. It's a mystery which has to be solved. And solving mystery is taking time as far as today is concerned. Now, another aspect for years, if you notice, certain companies, the market-leading companies in different segments, had this competitive edge because they were the only companies who had access to specific data, which was helping them in getting right insight. But what has happened in the last few years, the access of data has become available to all. Data has become ubiquitous. Now, in that scenario, even a smaller company or mid-sized company is having access to the same quality of data, quantum of data. When that is happening, the question is coming, how the competitive edge will be created? Will it only, I mean, like in earlier days, will it only be for the large companies, or it will be available to small or medium-sized companies as well? And that's the shift. Now, the shift is the companies who will be truly able to reduce the life cycle of their data to insights to action journey, they will be the winners. And if that's what has to happen, the first step in that direction will be how to close in real time, or you can say continuous close. Now, if you see, I mean, many leaders and CEOs are inquiring what could be truly done in real time, how to get the numbers on a day-to-day basis and take the strategic call, right? In that world, the theme is coming how to truly have a new close paradigm. Now, in new close paradigm, right, for years we had this concept of, oh, we will do closing on period end. We had concept of, oh, first our 2-hour team will do the job, then FP&A team will come and try to understand why those numbers have come up. That was a sequential process in a real sense, and that's what will change. That's what will change, or it should change, to make it parallel, so that your data to insights to action journey becomes much shorter. Now, let's see how it really changes from what we have done so far versus what could be done. Right? Now, if you see so far the kind of insights, and many business teams are complaining about it, that the kind of insights which comes is about history. It is not really about future, which is more predictive or prescriptive. And if that's what has to be delivered, and then comes the point of, OK, some of it could be truly done through continuous close, or the ultimate nirvana could be on-demand close. So what is the real difference in terms of these three terms, right? So first, Vic talked about, right, how Mondelez has done, and most of you would have done the close cycle reduction or optimization. The second theme comes, right, the truly continuous close, where the closing activities have been moved from period end to event-based, so that every day something related to closing is happening. And the last could be, right, where you have truly on-demand close, and and we will just talk about it, how it will be converted into reality, and that will be the on-demand close, where any point of time you get your numbers, which is end-to-end. We think there are 5 components to really make this happen, right? One could be the shift to the event-based accounting. Second could be the kind of complete touchless processing. Third could be how much of your computing power could be used to make it real-time. And the fourth could be making the policy changes, which are much more dynamic, taking care of the thresholds, materiality, and things like that. And fifth could be the new age controls will be needed to make this journey happen, right? So let's start with the first one, Vic.
I don't know about you guys, but that's a lot of stuff that could be happening, and where you're at now and where you need to go. So as we think about it, and looking up here at the chart, it's not like everybody is sitting on this far end, batch reporting or not doing anything. We've made a lot of progress. And some of us are actually all the way on the continuous side. So as I thought about, well, how long does it take to get, if you'd asked me 7 years ago about our intercompany and being able to see all the data and use it and have a good handle on where we were at 7 years ago, I'd been like, oh my gosh, no way in hell. And 4 years ago, yeah, we're making some progress, we're getting there. I'm really thinking 2 to 3 years, we're going to have things that we're pretty much aligned. The goal is, hey, you post it, both sides get it. We're not chasing stuff. So I think over time, as we said here, you have those opportunities. No, we're not necessarily at a continuous close tomorrow, but if you keep doing all of those process improvements, when the time comes, when the technologies comes, you'll be ready. As I think of cultures of continuous improvement, I mean, I feel like we're there from a Mondelez standpoint. I had a 4:30 call this morning. We, every 2 weeks, meet with Genpact, with our AER leads, which is basically our controllers in the regions, with our systems teams, internal controls. And the whole goal is to be talking about what's coming up, what we're working on, getting updates on our robotics projects, as well as our continuous improvement projects. And it's not perfect. And it's like a marriage, Some days you're happy with each other, some days you're not. But we're talking, and that's the main thing. So, for example, one of the things that as we think about continuous improvement is we're going to have to be making things that happen at the time. For example, at the end of the month, we get all of our revenue in, and we're going to go calculate our trade. Well, do you have to necessarily wait at the end of the month? Well, you could be doing it when it happens. And those are going to be things that are going to be between systems and procedural changes that we're going to need to do.
OK. And the next theme will be, as we talked about, right, how much of truly automation can happen, or how many of the transactions could be truly done completely without your involvement. And we just saw the machine learning solution coming as part of transaction matching. So the way transformation is happening in the automation area. First is, many of you would have already done, which is bringing robotics in different close-related tasks, right? Or resolving the exceptions using black line features and things like that. Second dimension comes when you use new age technologies like part of AI component, which is NLG, right? And you use natural language understanding or generation technology to create automation in your process. For example, the journals, right? Now, most of us will have this problem of processing huge number of manual journals during the close process, right? And in those 5-7 days, there is 60% plus of the journals are getting posted. Now, we have this application, we call it Accrual Engine, which can read the requests coming from different stakeholders about different manual journals, saying that, okay, please pass accrual for marketing or audit fee or any other nature of expense. And the attachment could have a very different structure of data coming in as part of supporting. But the machine can create that journal and park and post to the SAP or Oracle environment. And the third could be, you have the cognitive ability where you can really take care of all possible exceptions, which truly happens in our life of closing the process, whether it is in the area of reconciliation, intercompany, or your fixed assets, or the accruals and the prepaid adjustments, or the cost allocation, and things like that. So if you see this example, right, where we are saying there can be a solution using AI, there can be a control tower, which will really take feed from different ERPs and different databases about the process and the transactions. And then there will be subject matter experts, right, who will really teach or guide the machine, which means they will be the owner of resolving each exception in the beginning. And then once the machine learns, right, there can be 3 types of behavior. One could be what we have already taught the machine. Second could be we have taught the machine and machine knows, okay, or machine can predict what action to take. And the third could be it's a complete new behavior and machine needs your help to learn it again. And based on these 3 categorization, most of the work which happens during the close could be automated, could be done by the machine. And that's what will be truly needed when we think of, okay, the conversion of that life which we have today of managing the peak load and then going back to the age where all this is happening on day-to-day basis and your work-life balance definitely improves over the period of time. And then comes the third dimension, which is, okay, do we have enough computing power today to do all these activities in real? For example, I mean, there are comparisons made, okay, the kind of computing power which was available for lunar module or lunar launch back 30, 40 years back versus what is available in iPhone. Right? iPhone is much more powerful. But this power should help us in doing faster processing of accounting transactions. I mean, the whole subledger to ledger movement, and then doing the close and consolidation. I mean, you look at in-memory computing in S/4HANA or the advancements in Oracle database, whether it is autonomous database or, in fact, Larry Ellison 2 weeks back in the Oracle Open World said, now as one of the Oracle feature is you can do daily close and consolidation. And when all this is happening, we need to figure out, right, how to change our policy to make this reality or conversion of continuous close cycle.
So, Vivek, as you know, Genpact, when it comes talking a little bit about technology, I wasn't a fan on the RPA thing. I wasn't jumping on board. After they told me that R2D2 was not going to be processing my journals, I was like, really? I want a relationship. Like they were talking earlier, I want a relationship. I want somebody cute. No, seriously. I was hesitant. Because my concern when we were bringing up various projects to use robotics in was, are we just making our bad process faster and throwing out more junk? The old garbage in, garbage out. So one of the things, as we've looked at the robotic projects, question is this the best process? Is this really what we should be doing? Can we make it better? And if we have said, yes, this is the best, this is with our systems, with limited everything, this is what we need to do. Can we do it globally? If it's good for one region, is it good for everybody? And once we get to that point, then let's get in there. Let's get the robotics up and running. And we've had several in there. In fact, I've gotten to the point where we were starting a new report, and the first thing was, well, can we do it with robotics? So definitely there are uses for it, but you've got to do it right. I think yesterday this gentleman from Nike was talking about it. It's like you can't systematize your way out of a bad process. So as you're looking at your process improvements, you need to know where you want to be, and ask, is this project going to help me get there? What's it going to do for me? So along those lines, we have to look at our policies. A lot of things, if you look at your policies, they've been out there forever. Some of them are not policies, they're more procedures. And some of your procedures are more desk manuals. So one of the things as we're making these changes, we've got to look at what do we want in our policies? Are they written in a way that gives us flexibility? I know we went through a big overhaul at Mondelez looking at them this year. And I was looking at one, and it called out very specifically, in SAP, you're going to take this. Well, that's great, but we've had acquisitions, and we don't have SAP everywhere. So you want to make sure that your policy gives you that flexibility, that you're getting, hey, you need to tie out your system, you need to understand that, and that your procedures give you that detail, and that as you make changes, you're making changes in those procedures. It's really more looking at your outcomes versus just being a governance. So in some of the areas, a lot of folks, I don't know how many went through with the revenue rec, going through all of their procedures. You know, there's a lot of things within the retail industry where they're happening earlier in our area in consumer products. Again, we went through revenue rec. For us, it wasn't a lot of changes that we had to go through. The way our processes were for other folks, big overhaul. But again, you have to look at where you want to go, what you have to do from a reporting standpoint, and make sure that your policies and your procedures reflect that. Along those lines are your controls. Again, with all of this data that's out there, what can you do now, daily? Can you use machines to help you in some of your controls, having them do analysis, predicting, oh, this could be a problem if you do this on this day and you do this with this amount, whoop, that's not going to work here in this entry. We've actually worked with our internal control team, and we have what we call CCM, continuous control monitoring. So reports are being generated. Right now it's a lot of human interface, but we're looking at opportunities as how can you bring robotics into it? How could possibly AI? Okay, I got to admit, with AI, I still saw Terminator. I'm still a little nervous, but I'm open. So it's really going through and saying, here's where we are today, and taking that journey step by step. Because when we talk about continuous close, every time when Vivek started explaining it and everything, I'm like, oh my gosh, how am I, really? Seriously? I have 1,001 questions. But I'm thinking I'm going to have to do it tomorrow. It's a journey. It really is. And if that really is your goal, what you have to keep asking is, what do I need to do along the way? Again, the talk with Nike really resonated with me is, focus on the things that are going to help you improve. Don't just do it. Don't just get a software or a system just because it's the latest thing. Is it really going to help you to get to your vision?
So the point was, right, when we are seeing, are you truly seeing the need for moving towards continuous close? Are you seeing, okay, what could be the true drivers of making that journey? What is the expectation from the top leaders, right? And to get what kind of benefits you will get if you really move towards the journey of making this happen.
So Vivek, I think it's time to just kind of bring it all together. I don't think we're going to get to hear from these guys anymore.
Okay, so something happened. So now when we are talking to the clients, right, the question is coming, okay, this concept is clear. There are different components which are real. There are success stories of different components. Now the scale of benefit could be smaller or bigger. But how to truly move towards this journey? What is truly needed to make this happen? Then we have two applications which we use in our journey with different clients. One is talking about, right, how to drive continuous close. It's an application called ContiClose. And the second is, the balance sheet review framework. Let me just explain what are these two things. Now, when we are looking at the peak which clients are having, the closing peak, the problem with record report or AER function across the client base is their staffing is based on how many people are needed during the closing peak, right? And for months and years, whether it is robotic or earlier autonomous or autonomy applications, not much of success has happened in really optimizing the cost of accounting function. Now, if you can really manage or flatten the peak load, that could be one reason to not just get value to the business, but also save some efforts in day-to-day transaction, because you want to have time available for getting the data analyzed, getting the right insights. And so what we are doing through this application, we are having these industry-specific solutions, the process area-specific or sub-process area-specific solutions, which are used to analyze what are the reasons of peak, how to take it out, and then the ideas are not just around technology. The ideas, I think Vic talked about the policy and process design component. The ideas around how much of it could be done through changing, say, for example, around materiality, which is your thresholds, progressive thresholds, and deciding and different areas, whether it is revenue or it is cost allocation or intercompany, how to truly take that peak out of the range of those 4 or 5 days. That's the way it helps us in through different analytics, different ideas, and that's what some of our clients are in that journey. The second theme is when we get trial balance today, right? The trial balance goes to the controller or assistant controller, and when he or she looks at that trial balance, she knows, okay, there is some problem in these 2 accounts, 5 accounts, 10 accounts, just by looking at trial balance. And that's expertise of working in that setup, knowing that much accounting, and really identifying, okay, what is the reason of this variation. Now and that is taking time, because first you need that expertise. 2, you need to resolve those exceptions in a shorter time and make that shift towards resolving it. But if there is an application which can read the past trends, right, which can really give you ideas around those 4 or 5 key parameters, which says, okay, these are the reasons why account balance in account 1 versus 5 versus 19 is the area you focus on, that will really save time. And when we are talking of really driving continuous close, you need such solutions available, because it is not just processing of transaction. It is also resolving exceptions and giving you insights why that particular exception has happened. So these are the 2 applications which we are using to drive the journey towards on-demand close. Now, you saw, we explained in the beginning that how the difference between close optimization efforts versus continuous close versus on-demand close. So we would like to close the session on the day when we will not have workload just during the peak load. We will have near 0 cycle time. We will have complete clarity on controllership, because when you try to drive efficiency or try to reduce the processing effort, the second component is as important, how additional controllership or new controls will be needed to make that journey happen. And then, I think most of us are using Uber or Lyft. I think this term is becoming common, Uberization of different areas. And this is like saying, okay, you decide whenever you want to close. There is no time limit. There is no plan. But yes, your systems and processes and controls and policies are so well designed that you can do it anytime. With that, we would like to close our viewpoint on what is coming and how to prepare for it. Any questions, comments?
Hope you enjoyed it, and have a good November
Thank you
close,
for your time.
guys.